Hey Clovermates, Lucky Star Shi-Roku here, and today I want to talk a little bit about something that I've been working on for a little while behind the scenes. Now, I did show it a little earlier. I was teasing at this throughout the last couple episodes of Hogwarts Legacy, and I did show it a little bit in my welcome back video, and that's basically my monthly annual schedule, and I did show it in that video. But if I'm being perfectly honest, that version of that schedule that I showed, it was a very early draft of it, and it was very rushed. It was, again, early draft, very rushed. I had to basically make it in the last 5 minutes before the recording, so it was very rushed, and since then I have had a few days to work on it, refine it, do all of that. So in this video I am going to talk you through everything I've done, like all of the different, talk you through all the different facets of my monthly schedule, explaining about various things here and there. But yeah. Okay, so this is my monthly schedule. As you can see, there's been a few changes since that early draft of it. I've changed the format. I've changed it to like landscape, just because it looks a bit better, looks more professional. I've also worked things out a bit more. As you can see, I've used a bit of a nicer shade of green, because again it was a bit of a rushed job, so the shade of green, I just used whatever green I could find in the color palette. It was that green, when I look back at it, it was kind of a not as nice green, so I've used a bit more of an emeraldy green. It's a bit nicer, yeah, it looks a lot nicer. I've also added a color code system and showing you what each one basically represents, which I will go into more detail about momentarily. Basically, red means break, green means my usual activities, and yellow means pacing myself. I will go into more detail about each one individually before going over everything, because there is a lot to talk about on this new monthly schedule, and I think I need to talk about this. Like I figured this needs its own video, because a community post I don't feel like would do that much. Like, yes, it would. I don't know. I feel like I can express myself a lot more in a video than I can in a community post. There's a lot more you can do with voice rather than text. So, yeah. So first, let's have a quick little look at all of the meanings on the bottom here. Okay, right. Okay, so first of all, we have red. So, red basically means I'm on a annually planned break for my mental health to avoid burnout, and also it gives me a much needed bit of respite. Okay, green. So green is basically my usual activities. Okay, now before I go on any further, I just want to quickly say a little bit of PS here. Yes, green is my usual activities. Like, yes, if it's on a green month, it means it's when I'm hoping to be in my usual activities. However, there is many nuances to it, so I just want to quickly say, so while green is my active time, keep in mind that even when I'm active, videos do sometimes take a little bit longer, like sometimes take a few days to work on, depending on the level of editing and how I overall feel about it. Again, it might be a bit of a slow burn at first in times like this, so just keep that in mind. Give me patience, just let me work. Yes, green is my usual activity, but I might still need a little bit of extra time to work on things, again, depending on external factors. So again, just bear that in mind going forward. Okay, yellow. Right, so yellow means I'm pacing myself. So yellow does technically mean I'm still in my activities. However, However, like unlike in green, with yellow, it basically means I am active, but I do need to take a bit more caution because of external factors. So again, mainly because of like, because of SAD, because of seasonal affective disorder, or because of heat waves, and just, so basically, yellow means I am still active, but basically I need to be a bit more careful with my activities and might need a bit more flexibility than what viewers may like. So just again, just be very mindful of that going forward. It just means I might need a little bit more patience, because again, heat waves, SAD, it can hit me like a ton of bricks. So just between the green and the yellow, the green, the yellow here, of just be patient with, pretty much is what I'm asking. Okay, so as I mentioned, this is my monthly schedule. This is my annual schedule. As you can see, there's many colors here. There's red, green, and yellow, and again, each one means a different thing, which I will talk about here, which I put little text events on screen to help me out here. Okay, so as you can see, I am putting all the ones we're not focusing in black and white so we can focus on it. Okay, so right now, when going into my routine here, I think it's important that we first look at the very end of the year, because that's because the routine basically starts at the end of the year. It might sound a little counterintuitive, but it makes sense if you look at it like this. Okay, so first we must look at the end of the year for my routine. So basically, I wrap everything up for the year on the week before Christmas. So as you can see here, I've got like basically the first 3 weeks of December. So like the first 3 weeks are as normal. Well, again, yellow, because again, that is during my SAD season, so it is still my activities, but I still might need to pace myself a little because of SAD. But basically, so again, again, December as normal up until the week before Christmas, and then that's basically when I do the last video of the year, the yearly wrap up, and then after that, on the week of Christmas, I basically sign off. So that means I've got all of Christmas off. Yeah, so that means I've got all of Christmas off, and then I've got all of January off, and I've also got the first 3 weeks of February off, and then I come back on the 3rd week of February. So that gives me I think 9 weeks. So that gives me a total of 9 weeks break, because hang on, so let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, yeah, 9 weeks. 9 weeks break. So that basically gives me 9 weeks break, so I can come back on the 3rd week of February feeling refreshed, which I think, I think that's for the best, because if I'm trying to record during my sad season or over Christmas, I'm just going to end up burning out, and nobody wants that. It's not good for you, it's not good for me. It's much better if I just take an extended break and just come back feeling much refreshed, which I do, I do feel refreshed. Okay, right, so now let's have a little look at the first green events here. So, okay, now firstly, as I have mentioned over the last couple of videos, when returning, it might be a little bit of a slow burn at first, while I am coming back and getting the hang of recording, just because it, again, I have effectively been away for, 9 weeks at this point, so it will take me a little while to get back into, because again, taking that long of a break from recording and editing, it does, you do feel a bit rusty after a while, so it It might be a bit of a slow burn at first, just while I get back into the swing of things, but after a few weeks of consistent videos, I should be back to normal. So, yeah. So again, might take a little while to get used to things at first, but then we've got basically, like, so we've got like the remainder of February from the third week, so the remainder of February, all of March, all of March, all of April, all of May, and all of June, all in green. And that does continue on to July, but there is another factor I've put in there as well, which I'll talk about momentarily. Okay, so as I mentioned, coming back on February, I've got from like February from all the way to June. But if you look here at July, we have our first yellow month. Now, I have said that yellow months or yellow time is basically, it is my usual activities. I just need to be a little more careful because of external factors. Again, like usually it's because of SAD or because of something else. In this particular case, it's because basically the reason I decided to have a bit more caution here is because typically July is the hottest month of the year, and well, if I'm being quite honest, British heat waves are incredibly intense and are an absolute nightmare, and I don't really deal well with heat on the best of days. So I will try, again, anytime it's yellow, I will try to keep to my activities as much as possible, but I might need a bit more time to myself, a bit more time to, just cope pretty much. So again, yellow is still my usual activities. I just need a little bit more patience, a little bit more flexibility, basically, because again, heat waves in the UK are, honestly, heat waves in the UK are kind of unique just because of our climate. Like it's very humid, very muggy over here in the UK, especially in the summer months. So yes, I will try to continue as usual, but again, the heat waves are really intense. So if it is a heat wave, which is most likely going to be in, I'd say maybe July or August, most likely July though, but basically if it is a heat wave, I'm probably going to be out of action for a few days just until things calm down, just because, again, heat waves in the UK, they're, honestly, I've heard all these things of, like, people from not living in the UK saying that us Brits are, like, weak or, but honestly, don't say that unless you've experienced it for yourself, because, honestly, you might be surprised of just how intense the heat waves here can be, because don't forget, our houses and buildings are made of brick, not wood. So our buildings are made to trap heat in, and we don't have air conditioning. So because of that, we're basically trapping the heat in with us. So because of that, it's a lot more intense. So yeah, just again, be mindful of that. Okay, right, next up, August. So like I said, I've only put July for the first, like, yellow, just because I think the worst of the heat is in July, July, June, like June, July, maybe a little bit of August since it is still summer. So again, I do have to be a little bit careful here and there. I didn't want to put it as yellow because I feel like if you see here later on, there are a lot more yellow events, and I don't want, I still want some green here. So I didn't want to be completely yellow. So while I do start to be a bit cautious, I didn't want everything to be yellow here. So yeah, I think everything should start to calm down a bit more in August, so it should be fine. It should be a lot better than July in terms of my usual activities. But since it is still, since August is still a summer month, there may be still some lingering heat, and by extension, more days where I need to be a little bit more careful. Might take a few more days off, depending. Again, you can't really predict this kind of stuff. Again, every year is a bit different. some years are worse than others for heat, so it's just a case of playing it by ear and see what happens. So just, again, if I do still take more days off in August, just be mindful of that, because again, heat waves are intense and you never know how long they're going to last. So again, I have to be a bit more careful just because it is still a summer month and there could still be some lingering heat. But I didn't want to put it as a yellow event because there's a lot of yellow later on, as you'll see in a bit. Okay, right, so now we go into September, and September is basically a transitional period. So September is a transition from my normal recording routine to my sad routine. So basically it's basically me starting to get into the habit of recording a little bit earlier in the day, basically preparing for my SAD. So basically my SAD doesn't really start in September, it starts more in October, but it's basically preparing myself. Basically, it's giving myself a little bit of a head start before SAD really starts coming into effect, pretty much. So it's, again, not SAD, but it's preparing me for SAD. So, so basically, it's just basically preparing me for my sad symptoms before they have a chance to really start affecting me, and just getting me used to recording a little bit earlier in the day, for like October to November, December, pretty much. Okay, now we move on to October to December. So, okay, now, so basically, this is when my SAD does. Again, my SAD typically lasts. Well, again, on average, it can last anywhere from October to February. So again, it's a case of play it by ear. Again, some years are worse than others, and again, the last couple of years have been pretty intense, so I do have to be a bit careful. So again, October to December. I've only put December because I've got the break anyway, so I don't have to worry about that anyway. So like, yes, my SAD may still be there, but basically it's basically so yeah, it's just basically so I have to so I can take a bit more time off, to just again, because again, SAD it hits me like a truck, like a freight train, like it's really intense. So again, this is just so that I can manage my SAD a little better, and only record when I'm feeling well enough to do so. And again, that gives me 9 weeks of 10 weeks, 10 weeks after Christmas, to recuperate and all that. So basically, during this time from basically December, So basically, from September to February is basically when my sad routine is in effect. So my sad routine is where I record a little bit earlier in the day during daylight hours. Will be in effect from September to February. I have found that January is the worst of my sad. Like that's when it's like, because again, like October it's not too bad. November it's starting to get a bit bad. So October, November it's getting kind of bad, and then I get a bit of, it gets a bit better in December, I feel. Because again, Christmas, all that, distractions and stuff, and then when we hit January and Christmas is over, that's when I feel like that's the worst of SAD. Like SAD is at its worst in January, and then obviously February, and then obviously I come back. But yeah, basically my SAD affects me anywhere from October to February. And because of that, I've just got my SAD routine to help out in effect of that, and that's basically just me recording a little earlier when there's still daylight, just to make up for that. So yeah. And then my normal routine is in effect from March to August. So again, March, April, May, June, July and August. That's my normal routine, as you can see there. So basically that's my normal routine when I would record in the evening time, which is my preferred time, by the way. I feel like that's what works for me the best. But obviously I can't really do that because during my SAD, because just because the dark nights are just really intense and they take a lot out of me. So yeah, and that's basically it. That's basically my entire that's my entire monthly routine going forward. So yeah, I've planned all of this out thoroughly. So I've took some time over the last couple of weeks to like think of like, okay, what can I do here? Because before it was literally just red and green, like there was no yellow. So I thought, okay, there's got to be something I can do. So I thought like space the time out a bit more. Like, so again, give myself all of January, first 3 months in February off, and then all of from like March to at one point July was a green as well. And then I thought, oh wait, hang on, heat waves. So I put that as yellow, and then I put yellow for October, November, December, just because again SAD. I also did the same thing for September, just because it's getting me into the habit of recording earlier and waking up a little earlier, just recording early and stuff like that. So yeah, but that's basically my routine. I think it's a massive improvement, to be honest, from that early draft, because again that was very early, very thrown together at the last minute. I've had a lot more time to make things more professional and work things out a bit more, and I do think it worked. I do think it looks a lot better. So anyway, that is where I'm going to leave this video for now. So as always, thank you guys for watching, thank you for tuning in. I hope now you guys have a better understanding of my routine, and hopefully I feel like I've discussed it quite a bit, but if there's something that's because again I am still, my brain's still a bit fried here and there, so I may not be talking completely coherent sentences. So if there's anything I wasn't completely clear about, do feel free to ask me in the comments for me to clear up. I hope I was clear enough, but I feel like I feel like I did a good job. I feel like I made sense. But again, if I didn't, if there's something that I'm not clear about, then again, ask me in the comments. I'll try and clear it up if I can. But yeah, hopefully you guys have a better idea of my monthly routine, like going into the New Year's, going forward. Why I take such a long break, because again, 9 weeks, that's a long time off, but at the same time I feel like I need them. And again, also having the yellow like kind of like buffer season, the yellow time to myself, just a bit more flexibility, especially in July as well. So hopefully it all makes sense. Again, if there's anything I'm not clear about, do feel free to like ask me in the comments if you want, but again, that's where I'm going to leave this video for now. So as always, thank you guys for watching, thank you for tuning in, and I will see all of you guys in the next video. Until then, have a good day, guys.